My name is Johnny Parker. I'm a professional tattoo artist. I've been a GM for Dungeons & Dragons for about 7 years, mostly in the Adventures League organized play events. I also run a number of other games, including Morkborg and Simber. Currently, I'm DMing a homebrew campaign in 5th edition D&D for some close friends of mine. I can't be trusted. I am absolutely cruel. The main point of my campaign is to regret decisions for the sole purpose that at the end of a campaign, regrets often turn into opportunities. Just a statement on lessons that can be learned in life. Briefly, in middle school, I got into 2nd edition D&D with a buddy of mine named Aaron, who had a bunch of stuff handed to him by his older brother. We had no idea how to read the rules properly. We had no idea how many dice we actually needed. But we sat around a table after school and had fun. I did that for a little bit, a few months through middle school, and I didn't get back into it until adulthood when my good buddy Tony got me into Pathfinder, actually, 3.5, and kind of got into 5th edition as that came out. But yeah, I got into that in adulthood mostly, thanks to him. I think the most memorable for me was less about the campaign and more about the players. In-store event, ongoing Adventurers League. For those that don't know, it's a jump in, jump out kind of organized play event. But as the DMs in the local stores, you would keep the same campaign kind of running with other adventures. But I had a consistent table of amazing new players every 2 or 3 weeks that I'd get somebody new, teach them how to play Dungeons & Dragons, how to play RPGs in general. Most of them were absolute first timers for any kind of dice rolling on the table other than Monopoly at home. So that's the most memorable DMing that I've done. And like I said, that's less about the actual campaign and more about just being able to see people play for the first time and experience the fun and the inventiveness of cooperative storytelling. That is one of the biggest things that I enjoy doing. I don't try to credit myself with being an amazingly educated person when it comes to D&D, but I want everyone who is getting into it to have as much access to the information as I have had. And at the very least, I can get them up to my level as quick as possible, because the more you know in the hobby, the more you can enjoy it. And I think it's a wonderful thing, and I love teaching new people. And then, honestly, the best thing is when I hear that they've gone beyond what I know, and they turn around and they're teaching me something. That's fantastic. That is a standout. I played a homebrewed race based on a half-orc in my buddy Tony C's games. We were trampling through the Isle of Jean-Philion, a sub-deity who had a jungle-like feel, on this island. That was when I really cut my teeth on the role-play factor, finding out different aspects of my own personality while portraying a fictional character's personality. DMing at conventions is a little stressful, but it is incredibly rewarding. You meet new people, sometimes folks that turn into pretty good friends, even long distance. People come from all over for conventions, and that's one of the best things about conventions in general. DMing at a convention is always fun because people walk by, and if they see you having fun with people that they know you don't know, just a table full of strangers, all enjoying their time together, telling a story and entertaining themselves, and action, adventure, and comedy. There's just something about seeing that person walk by for that first time going, hey, that's that D&D thing. I should try that out. Other convention dungeon masters, the one thing that I would stress is try not to stress. It's going to go haywire as soon as the players sit down in the first place. Roll with it. It's just easier that way. Everyone's there to have fun. I've found that at conventions you won't run into rules lawyers nearly as much. People are there to have a good time. That's the main goal, and I think that should be as easy as it sounds. Over preparing, over worrying, over stressing, it's work that's unnecessary. Absolutely. There's the, and I'm not going to try to quote it directly, but there's a long-standing rule zero. If the rules make something less fun, throw it away. Fun is what this is about. It is a game. It is organized community storytelling. If it's, no matter how crunchy the system is as a whole, if it gets in the way of what you're doing and makes it less fun, at that point you should definitely try to reassess how you're running a game or how you're playing a game. You know, I try not to criticize people who are rules lawyers. Some people like the rules to be as strict as possible, and there's nothing wrong with that. It kind of comes along with the topic of social contract. When you sit down with your players at the table, everyone expects a certain discussion to happen, and everyone can be on the same page as far as what they expect out of the game. Sometimes that is more fun than it is rules-based, and you just work with what you're comfortable with. But at the end of the day, it is definitely about having fun and enjoying your time and having stories to tell down the road. Yes, crits don't suck. As written, critical success attacks, you would roll a number of dice based on your weapon and damage. Look that up. There's better DMs that can explain the crits don't suck aspect. If you successfully critical attack something, it should be epic. It should be near lethal. So basically any bonus die that I should give my players, I basically just max it out. That way, as written, the rules often state you would roll an additional die with the first die that you would roll for damage. I don't want to do that. I want to give them at least one maximum damage die and then let them roll the normal damage die if possible. That's my one rule. Crits don't suck for D&D specifically. Yeah, I don't care. Whoever disagrees, that's fine. At my table, crits don't suck. The best thing that I have ever done is just jumped into any random game that just sounds silly, or even just jumping in blind, especially with new systems, stuff you haven't ran before. I was just talking to my buddy Tony about how jumping into a Call of Cthulhu game as my first experience in Call of Cthulhu at a convention, basically blind, was one of my favorite convention gaming experiences as a player. It just got really weird, and it was a lot of fun. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't have any expectations at all, and it still blew me away. As a player in conventions, you have to balance planning what you're going to play for time constraints and availability. You have to balance that with being open and being able to jump into something that you've maybe never seen before or heard before or have any thoughts or experiences with. That's the best way to experience things for the first time blind. Just jump in. I think convention play is the perfect time to get out of your comfort zone. If you're looking to try a new game, jump straight in with somebody who knows how to run it. That's the benefit of conventions, is most of the time the DM will be fairly well versed in the system. Jumping into that game is a great way to try out a new system. I try to run more obscure systems at conventions lately myself, for that sole purpose of letting people try out weird, odd and end systems that maybe aren't getting the light that they usually would. One that I would suggest the lesser experienced players to jump into, honestly, it's got to be a Fate game. Fate can be so strangely interpreted by the DM, by whatever scenarios they write, by whatever scenarios you create as players together. It gets wild. It gets so much fun. It's a lot of hilarity. Yeah, Fate. If you can jump into a Fate game, there's also Fate Accelerated. It's basically the same as far as first-time players would experience. It's going to be very similar. If you see those on a convention schedule, get one. Jump in one. You won't regret it. Hopefully. If you do, I'm sorry. I think one of the funnier things that's happened to me in any game was a random pickup game of Call of Cthulhu, where me and a complete stranger played gender-swapped spouses in game. The pre-generated characters had a husband and wife. I played the wife, and the stranger, she played the husband. And we were both into it at exactly the same level. We both enjoyed it, and because it was a stranger playing against another stranger, we surprised each other at every turn and still found a way to make it absolutely hilarious for the table, but still move the story forward. It was a lot of fun. A lot of laughs were had over that one. Coming up to Con Nooga, I would like to bring maybe a Mort board module. There's been a lot of hype about that from what I hear. There's at least another DM who's also going to bring some more board. I think there's a lot of interest in that, so that should be fun. It is a very rules-light system that's more about what you put into it than what it gives you. I will also very likely be bringing a sim room game. It's dark, it's broody. That always feels like a really good, deep, gritty monster hunt. As far as energy that I'm bringing, I'm just looking forward to seeing people out in the world in person again. Should be great. I'm not an expert, and just to be honest, not too many of us are. There are a lot of folks out there who get a lot of attention for some negative things that's been going on in the greater community as a whole, be that through social media or actions in the business realm of RPG gaming. I don't want that to scare off new players. That is the negativity that people are seeing here and there it's a dying, outdated, antiquated ideology that I think a lot of other social norms are moving away from too. I'm glad to see it disappearing, hopefully very quickly. I feel like right now, at this point in this interview, there's a lot of people who are still trying to hold on to some antiquated ideas. I feel like the RPG community can do better. For the most part, we do. I do feel like it is pretty good right now and only getting better over time. But to get better, we need you. We need you to step up. We need people to be open, have these conversations. Don't be afraid to make friends with strangers. Reach across the table, talk to a new friend. That's what RPGs are about for me.